for. Here's something that I would say I'd like to challenge the board. The state does not have K through 2 accountability, right? Standards accountability. You guys can actually, Director Fields has an excellent team in place with Supervisor Lori Atkins, Coordinator Allison Poston, along with team of teachers, board members, administrators, whomever, find out what standards are needed for the next level to make them successful, and then set an accountability for them. Because right now, K through 2 has no accountability. It's presented at the Title I conference, and this was one of the things we talked about, is that if there's accountability at that level, then when you get to the 3rd grade, you know, how much better, how much stronger will those students be? All right, so what do we do in celebration? You know, because our culture is strong, it's all built about relationships. That's the way we feel like that, you know, we get a lot of buy-in. So our academic celebrations is Beta Club, Reading Night, STEM Night, AV Honor Roll, Classroom Goal Achievements, Perfect Attendance. For culture, one of the things we do is welcome back school activities, Halloween dance, Christmas night out for the parents. We actually say, bring your kids here, we'll show a movie, you go shop, do whatever, you know. We also, on our welcome back, a dance activity we had, the admission ticket was your parent. The parent came and we did how to log into Aspen to check your child's attendance and grades. The children got to go and dance and have fun or whatever, you know, play games. And then Valentine's Dance and the end of the year bash, we have, last year we had 4 big, huge water slides in, and those kids absolutely love it. One of the other things we do is we have an ice cream machine that is absolutely a huge hit, right? Matter of fact, so much so that I think everybody's gotten some information on that, and Joey St. John went out and bought one, so it's due in tomorrow. After he came down, they had the ball game at Wynn the other day, so that was that. So I put this slide in here. This is not in your book. I put this in here for a reason. I got to tell you just a little bit about this. So when Director Fields asked me if I wanted to go to Wynn, I told her yes. I just had surgery. I was sitting in my recliner. My wife and I were watching the Oak Ridge Boys, right? And this song was actually playing, and I said yes. Hung the phone up, and I was all excited. I thought I was going to jump out of the chair, but no, I can't, because I just had surgery. Can't do it, all right? So I started thinking, this song has a meaning to it, right? And so I was sharing this with Gail Hinton, who's painted in every one of our schools. This was during COVID when the school was actually shut down. And she said, you know, that's absolutely a great, you know, thing. I like that. So she took, as you exit Wynn, you look above, and this sign is actually hanging there. So that every day that either a student or a teacher or a teaching assistant or a custodian, an administrator, whoever leaves that building, looks up and says, did I make a difference today, right? If the answer is yes, you accomplished your goal. If the answer is no, what can I do tomorrow that I didn't do today to make it better? Because it's all about the children, right? It's all about the kids that we serve. So we had to do a little bit of, through channels, we had to ask Dwayne Allen, can we use this? Oh, he was all excited. But he said, you better ask Bill Anderson, because he's the one who wrote the song. So we got permission from Bill Anderson. So Dwayne sent actually a signed picture. That signed picture is to all the students at Wynn, and it hangs there on that wall too. So when Gail was painting, she did the Oak Ridge Boys emblem with permission. She said that was the hardest thing to paint in the whole entire building. She had to erase it several times and repaint it just because of the design. But it does, to me, have an impact. Did I make a difference? And if the answer is yes, then we've accomplished our goal. Again, thank you all. And any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, you've been around a while. You've been around the block, haven't you, several times?
Little gray hair.
Yeah.
Principal.
You did a great job. Thank you for your presentation.
Great presentation. Your school is probably the one of, if not the cleanest school, and everybody from Miss Jen, everybody stops and speaks to you and friendly, like kind of like a best in class. You know what I'm saying? When somebody gives you specific attention in a almost like a customer service, hello, how are you? and every classroom I went in, I had that experience. Also, the picture there at the end, inspirational. I feel like that's kind of almost like Wynn's version of today I will give my all for Tennessee, you know.
The shout out goes to Veronica Bolden and Tony Richardson. They do a fantastic job, especially during COVID. You couldn't leave a fingerprint that it wasn't wiped off, and we've almost gone back into that now because we have this flu season going on. It's like if you're moving around, they're going to spray you down with Envirox. So, but the staff is great, and it's all them. It really is.
You do a great job, and I appreciate
Thank you.
it, and it shows.
All right. Any other?
Thank you.
Go ahead and go. Oh.
It's easy to go second, third. Everybody's pretty set with me.
When they walk out the tunnel.
So this is Jellicoe Elementary School Assessment Data and Improvement Plan. And I am Shirley Johnson. I'm the principal at Jellicoe Elementary. So talking about someone else's data is always a little bit new to me, so bear with me. I'm still learning a lot too. So this is our school demographics. It shows how many economically disadvantaged, like Hispanic and Native American students with disabilities, English learners, foster, homeless, migrants, and active duty military parents. Does anyone have questions? So you can see our economically disadvantaged population is kind of high. Attendance, as you all can see, the blue is Jellicoe, the district is green. So this is from 21-22. As this is Jellicoe, so we're in this case, the lower the percentage, the better for attendance. So we've been below the district. And then in 23-24, we came down from the previous year quite a bit. So we keep decreasing in our attendance rate, which is good. So I hope that trends over, except for I'm not sure what factored in here because I wasn't there. This is our assessment data overview. This is proficient, so this is master, proficiency or master on the T and ready data. So again, in blue is the year 2022, green is 2023, and in the teal is 2024. So this is my third grade reading. As you can see in 2024, it has came up slightly. My third grade math, she's came up a whole lot. So she does really well. So my fourth grade reading, we show a slight decline here in 24. Fourth grade math, I wouldn't say that that's slight, but quite a bit of a decline there in math. Fifth grade reading, we are up in 2024. Math, we didn't show any growth, we stayed the same. And here we was 0% from 2022. There was nothing there to show, so that's why it's 0%. As we go on to sixth grade reading, we show a dip here in 2024 from here. So we're at 0% the year before. Sixth grade math, 0%. We increase there in 2024. Seventh grade reading, increase Seventh grade math, we have a slight decrease. Eighth grade reading, we have an increase. And then eighth grade math, we have a slight of an increase there. Yes.
Talk to us more about what's going on with that third grade math, because that is incredible.
Okay, so I would love to talk to you more about her. She has a phenomenal classroom management. Anytime I walk in her room, it's bell-to-bell instruction. She has high expectations for her students. They know that. And so she does a really good job. She knows her standards inside and out. She does.
And who's that teacher?
That is Kim Hatmaker.
Kim Hatmaker. That is incredible. Congratulations.
I've taught third grade math, and so when I go in her room for a walkthrough, she gets a little nervous. And I say, well, don't, because every time I went in her room, I have learned something. I thought, I wish I had taught it that way. So she's a phenomenal teacher, and I expect this to continue to grow.
So, Director, is that zero in the 2023? Is that like an anomaly like Mr. Shekels was dealing with, or the previous, or is that just 0%?
That's just 0%. And I mean, I don't know what it would be, we just assume that it would be an anomaly, we don't know.
Okay.
All right, and so this is us, of course, I just showed you over the 3 years the trend of data. Now I'm going to show you the school, the district, and the state. So in blue is Jellicoe, the district is in green, and the state is in teal. So as you see for ELA, we're below the district and the state. In third grade math, below the district and state. Fourth, slightly above, but still below the state. Fourth for math, we're below both levels of the district and state. Fifth, ELA, below. Fifth, math, below. Sixth, below. Sixth, math, below. As you can see, seventh and ELA below, seventh math below, eighth ELA below, and eighth grade math below. But that is changing this year.
Charlie, let me interject just a minute. I do want to say that 7 years ago, Jellicoe Elementary was a priority school.
Yes.
It was one step away from being taken over by the state. And this may still be below, but it's a tremendous improvement from where it has been.
Yes, so this is just over the last three years, and I'm coming into this new, so this is big numbers compared to where they started.
Yes, and they used McCrill, which was a professional development company that came in and worked with them, and they made such progress the first year. They were used as the advertisement for the McCrill company, and the administrators at that school went to speak at their conferences for them that year. So we have noticed that when professional development is involved, they continue to keep that trajectory. But when we have stepped back from that because of funding or whatever the case may be, that's when they lose a little bit of ground that they've covered.
But I suspect, because it's like previous, it will continue and we will compete with the district level. So
This is data from before you became principal.
yes, but the prior principal also, like, even though this doesn't look, the best, this is just last year's data. So if you're looking at years before, like, it's grown every year. This was just taking the last year's data that I had, comparing it to. So it's even though it's below, it has came up. Assessment data overview and growth. So now we're talking about growth. And last year we had an achievement, I should go back, what we just viewed was a 2.4. So our growth was a level 1. And so that's what, we're going to be working on. And I have been working very closely with Elgin that the district has provided and Design and Leaders. I think our next training next Tuesday is to what can we do to improve growth, especially at Jellicoe. So again, in the dark blue, 2022, green is 2023, and 2024. And this kind of just shows you what level that we are at each. So fourth grade ELA last year was a 3 in growth. Fifth ELA was a 1. Sixth ELA was a 2. Seventh ELA was a 3. Eighth grade ELA was a 4. Fourth grade math was a 3. Fifth grade math was a 1. Sixth grade math is a 4. Seventh grade math was a level 2. And eighth grade math was a level 3. So those, based on that data, we are placing teachers. This year I'm coming in and building relationships and stuff, but I'm also discovering teachers' strengths during that time as I'm building relationships and seeing. You pointed out the third grade teacher's really strong. I know that. So her strength is obviously third grade, but she's going to be good wherever I put her because that's just the type of personality that she has, and she has. So I'm trying to provide teachers and have her work with mentor teachers, because I have new ones, to get where they need to be as far as it goes on the growth data. And we have 50, we have to move, I think when I factored it in, correct me if I'm wrong, Lori, 50 students to move school-wide, and we've broken that down by grade level of how many students per grade level needs to be moved from proficient to advanced. So we have some kids that we like to call our bubble kids to move, and that's going to show growth too. So teachers knowing, we'll be looking at already data, we'll be looking at team ready data to see how many students that we need to move to get our school where it needs to be as far as growth. This is just a different chart presenting pretty much the same data. This is from TVOS. You can kind of see, which we don't have third grade on here. I know this is small and I apologize, but this is ELA, my 4 through 8, and you can see green is good, my 5th grade, and here's my 6th, 7th, and 8th. And you all can see where the dots place from year to year. That's 2022, 2023, and 2024, and that's all ELA. So if we compare each year, and so 5th grade and 6th grade, 7th and 8th, I will say there are brand new staff in those positions, and so that data will not remain the same. In math, sorry, you're fine, go ahead. No, that's fine. And so I want to, our already winter benchmark proficiency data, our middle school done really well on that. I think the norm is 50%, and I think we were at 68, meeting your typical growth. Obviously we still have some work to do because we have 76 students in already reading below. We have 19 students that are 2 grade levels below and 3 grade levels below. And if you asked me, what am I doing for those students, I would tell you that I have opened up Tier 1 instruction for my teachers, for them to teach on grade level content, and that we are doing Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention. Also, during that Tier 1 instruction, I have it set up in their schedules where their assistants are in their room during their, where their data is low, so whether that be reading or math, and then they're working with those students with disabilities, again, those Tier 3 students, in addition to that Tier 1 instruction to give the teacher support. So hopefully moving those students as well. And already math, we obviously we have some work to do, but we are growing students and we are moving them a little each year. And this is where I was talking about. This is normally where you would hit, and we surpassed that at 68% for already reading and already math as well for that 65%. Strengths, I would say that I'm trying to get teachers to do standard-based teaching. I'm doing frequent walkthroughs and feedbacks from the coach and leadership. So as I'm doing those walkthroughs, I try to gather analytical notes and things like that, and I present it in a PLC. Like I noticed that writing was not consistent among my grade levels. So me and my coach got together, we worked on that, a PLC for writing, and so certain teachers that are not comfortable in writing, which thankfully they were comfortable enough to say, hey, I'm not really comfortable with that. They are doing coaching cycles with my coach, and writing is coming along well. So I think I went, my second grade, it was my second grade that really needed to improve the writing. Well, that's crucial because third grade we have the writing test. Teachers are setting higher expectations. I say, do not steal your students' thinking, moving away from more of that teachers doing, that students are doing, that productive struggle. That's something I did not see there at Jellicoe, and I think the teachers are coming along with that really well, having higher expectations, and already that's improved our already data tremendously. I can't wait to see what teen ready will be. Already math using MyPath, for those of you that do not know MyPath, it works on prerequisite skills, and it helps those students who are not on grade level fill in those gaps. But already can also be used for on grade level Tier 1 instruction. Teachers assign that, and it is standard based. I'm a big fan of iExcel. I used it personally in my classroom. I found that my students had success with it. My partner teacher also used it in ELA. She saw the same thing. It is standard based. There is a skill plan on there that has Tennessee state standards, and you would not believe the skills that go under one standard. And our new teachers, sometimes they don't know that. They see it at face value, or like I did, they don't see how in depth that standard can go, but it can go really, really deep. Intervention, we are providing interventions. We have moved kids tremendously from the beginning of the year until Winter Benchmark. We've moved them out of intervention. And so I'm really proud of the teachers and the assistants because they help, and my interventionists. Small groups, that is something that I did not see a lot of at Jellicoe, and I will say that we are still in transition for that. So I had asked for their daily schedule again, and so I told them I would really like small groups to be worked in that, because that is where you are getting those kids that are not your Tier 2 and Tier 3 kids that's getting intervention, but those, what we call again, bubble kids. They're not on grade level, but they're quite not low enough to go into an intervention group. So we're catching them here in small groups to improve mastery. Areas for improvement, growth and achievement on the TN Ready Math and Reading. I'm always looking for better ways to improve my attendance. Something that I'm doing now is I work with Bill Jones, which is with Elgin. He is my principal coach, which is provided by the district. And we came up with some kind of incentives to improve our attendance at the school level. So we do a weekly incentive where the grade level wins the attendance mascot. They get to sit in the room and they get a prize from the principal. A monthly thing that I was doing, if you have perfect attendance for the month, you got to do an attend dance, and all students came down, and I watched them, and they danced, and sometimes I danced with them, which is out of character for me, but I did. So that was, but I'm noticing they're already kind of bored with attend dance. So I've worked with other schools that Bill has took me around to see. And so we are going to do a thing maybe called J-Town, and it's going to be an incentive where students get to go, maybe if they have perfect attendance, good behavior, that type of thing, and not just focus on attendance there, but I'm hoping that will bring my attendance up. Being consistent with things learned in PLC meetings, having the PLC meetings, making sure they're purposeful, they're based on data, and taking things that we learned from the PLC back into teachers, taking those back into the classrooms, applying those, and I'm holding them accountable to, not micromanaging that, but leading them into that. So, and they're very eager to learn. So I'm real pleased with my teachers being willing to learn in my PLC meetings. Letting students have a productive struggle, as I talked about earlier, that's areas of improvement at Jellicoe. We need to let it as soon as a kid gets, I can't do this, we want to rush in and, pick them up. I'm telling them to step back a little bit. Using math manipulatives, I have not, I would like to see more of that, to get that understanding, that concrete understanding of math, not just jump into the abstract part of it. Writing, as I talked about earlier, wasn't seeing a lot of that. That's something that we are working on. And discipline in the middle school. That is something that has improved. I thought they were going to kill me at the beginning of the year. I thought, oh my goodness, these kids are bigger than me and it's going to be bad. But we are improving that. I have saw improvements with that. And I'll tell you something that I'm doing. Every time a child gets in trouble, we look at the tiers and then, determine which behavior. And if it is a behavior that I feel like maybe is a character or something, we do what we call a character counts class with our counselor. And so she counsels them on their behavior. I don't just punish them. I want them to know why. Where did that behavior come from? What can we do next time? Because we all know parents are not modeling sometimes the best, behavior at home. And they need someone to do that. So that was root cause analysis, and this was just kind of what could be. Student-related factors with our middle school could be lack of motivation, could have been learning disabilities, health issues, family issues, bullying. Those are all, I'm not saying that's happening at my school, I'm just saying that could be factors. Teacher-related factors, teacher quality, low expectations, insufficient support. That's not anything that they have told me, that's just factors that could play into the data before. I do not know, was not at that school to know. Curriculum related, irrelevant curriculum, which is not like a differentiation. This is not what I'm talking about when the county provides curriculum. I'm talking teachers who are picking their own curriculum. Maybe they're using something without rigor, and that could be a curriculum related factor. School environment, disciplinary issues, where there are strict or inconsistent policies before that played into that caused the data to skew. Parent involvement, social economic challenges. And system factors, of course, school policies could possibly ineffective attendance tracking or supporting systems. This is an area that I need to improve in, is attendance and how to track that and to do more support with that. Goals for improvement. TN Ready achievement. I would like to increase TN Ready scores by 10%. We are currently a D school, but we have moved up by 1/10 of a point, so we are growing. And my goal is to shoot for a C school, and then work our way up from there to the attendance. I would love to improve my attendance by 5% by semester end through engagement and family communication, being consistent with my PLCs, and holding my teachers accountable for being there. Productive struggle, math manipulatives, writing, and discipline. So these are all things like a measurable goal that I put in for each. Improvement plan, and this is kind of, again, the same thing of what I would give my teachers. It was just what I went over on the last 2 slides of what I would expect of my teachers, and they have this and they know this expectation. Monitoring progress, things that we monitor and how we monitor data. This is how TN Ready achievement, we would track progress with assessments and adjust interventions based on practice test results, which we have done. Attendance, we do monitor attendance weekly. We communicate regularly with families with my family resource. PLCs, outcomes, and check classroom implementations through observations. Productive struggle, I'm going to review lesson plans and observe student engagement during lessons. Math manipulatives, I'll track use of manipulatives in lessons and gather student feedback. Did it help you better understand? Which teachers are really good about this. Writing, log writing assignments and ensure timely feedback, track progress with assessments. Now, something they're doing with writing is they're bringing their writing samples during PLC, and we are looking at those and what they would score based on our writing rubric. Discipline, monitor discipline incidents and review effectiveness of restorative practices. And our kids are overall pretty good there. I want to say we have a lot of discipline, especially at the elementary level. Support needed from the district, which is maybe the attendance policy, things that maybe I can do better in my school to improve that. And I always say a possible assistant principal, I'm gonna throw that out there. I just, sometimes it just, you know, it can be a challenge some days, so. But other than that, do y'all have any questions for me?
Real quick, you said possibly an assistant principal.
Yes, possibly,
Possibly.
yes.
You possibly want one, or you possibly need one?
Well, of
or-
course I want one, but it would be based, I guess, on our numbers. That would be based on our numbers and things like that, cause right now, you know, I'm pretty low, but my numbers up from what I looked at the data last year are up, they're at 270. So I hope they continue to grow and that I eventually can, yes, have that.
And Director, sorry Ryan.
Go ahead.
Director, do we have kind of a rubric for how many students you kind of need to have to get an assistant principal, or do we just use like a gut feeling, or?
Well, first of all, to receive funding for a principal, when we had the BEP formula, it was 100 students,
Okay.
100 students. So that's usually what we look at,
And our
The
most of the
enrollment.
assistants funded out of local funds.
there, yes.
So it's really, if we
Yes,
want one.
when Jellicoe had an assistant principal, it was funded through the priority school grant,
Gotcha.
just to help with the number of evaluations that had to be performed for the teachers.
It just seems like to me we would have, you know, if you're between 0 and 350 teachers, or excuse me, 0 and 350 students, you get one principal. If you're from 351 to 750, you get a principal and an assistant, or something like that. I'm just
And we
using
do,
made up numbers.
everything that we do for our teaching assistants, it's based on numbers for our custodians in our building, it's based on the square footage of the building.
Gotcha, yeah.
So there are
But you think-
metrics put into place.
Ms. Johnson, you think that would help you?
Well, right now, I have 6 new teachers, so that is a challenge. Is it always gonna be a challenge? No, once I get those teachers established and their evaluations, if they perform well and they end up having less observations, I'm going to see less of a workload. But as of right now, I have 6 new teachers, and it's all that my coach and I can do to try to make sure they're okay and maintain my teachers that I
And you're a
already
new
have.
principal.
And I'm a new principal, but I'm doing, it's good, so we're doing good things.
You're doing a
It goes-
phenomenal job.
Thank
Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
You go ahead, Sharon.
How many students do you feel like you're losing going to Kentucky?
From my understanding, I have only lost 1 student to a Kentucky school. Now, of course, we know I'm right there on the line with Boston, 10 minutes up the road. We know if parents are dissatisfied, they move their, yes, but one that to Kentucky, that I know of.
And the enrollment has increased at Jellicoe
Yes.
Elementary in the last few years,
Yeah.
yes.
It has.
Cause it used to be a lot more, didn't it?
Well, it did, yes, but I think there's a lot of factors that go into that, job availability in the area, families are moving, that type of thing, so I think more than just the academics of the school.
And your new students, when you're talking about growth, are they coming from Elk Valley, White Oak, et cetera, or are they new to the Jellicoe community in general, or are they leaving Kentucky schools and coming from you? What do you attribute that new student growth to?
So I have a little bit of all of those. So
Okay.
I have, usually we will see students come back and forth, maybe 1 or 2, same thing with Gabe and I, or Mr. Shekels, not a big amount, huge amount. We see families that are moving into the area as well, like they'll come from California and bring, 5 students with them. We have a lot of kids coming out of homeschool and coming back to school now, things like that, so,
Cool. Thank you.
yes.
I'd like to echo what Brandon had mentioned about, I feel like you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
I feel like with the culture of the school, I feel like that's a big change, both
Yes.
from principal and staff. When you have a principal that comes in and embraces all that staff, and that staff, reciprocates, and that's very productive. I like all your goals that that you want to strive to be that reward school, and making progress now. other than that, if you can keep those Cummins boys out of the principal's office.
It'd help, wouldn't it?
My sons attend Jellicoe Elementary, and I have absolute great confidence in their education there.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
I'm talking about both.
Oh, you want chocolate?
You want to?
Alright, I'm not sure how White Oak is back and clean up here, exactly who decided on that, but could've been a bad move.
You look at the rationale, that's. Have them at all. Just like I saw Danny, I'm tired of seeing. Tired of seeing me? Yeah, that's all.
Well, listen, God bless you guys for sitting here for this long. I've looked at more data this year than I ever thought was possible, so you've really hung in like troopers. I almost feel bad because sometimes I catch myself, so, if it seems short and sweet, know that if you'll note those folders over there, especially the ones in green, they'll be available to you with so much data, to write through in a lot of different ways, from standards analysis and a lot of different things. And then also, beside of this, we have our, I know Charlie maybe mentioned our iReady, which is, how we benchmark. I had thought about combining them, initially, but it's probably just maybe like a little bit too much, but I do have that here, and we might talk a bit about benchmarking, kind of the scale score and how we're gonna try and use that. But at any rate, here we go, and please feel free to ask, just as I go along, as you want to. Just some of the key findings that they asked for. Success rate overall, 27.1, just above our 3-year average in general. It's hovered here, it looks like for multiple years, for a while after maybe that year 4 mark. Our TN school report card, it underpins it if I look at it from, maybe 10 years or so back, or as far back as I can go, 8 years maybe. 1.7 consecutive scores of 1.7 yielded back-to-back Ds, and certainly that's not at all where we want to be. But as far as I highlight elementary math and reading, their average success rate of over 40% over consecutive years, that's definitely a big positive and something that hopefully we can kind of lean on to buttresses as we try and move forward. Some school demographics, that was part of this that was mixed up. You probably know most of the demographics there, and it's pretty general, I guess, around the county. But one of the things that maybe I didn't anticipate, and when I talked to Ms. Belinda, our cafeteria manager, 75% economically disadvantaged, which I felt like had made a kind of a big jump. I'm not sure exactly why from what was mentioned, but yeah, quite a bit. Let's see. Some impacting factors. Clearly there's going to be some socioeconomic factors, but that's going to be all over. Student disabilities, access to resources, that's always impactful. I know there's been some talk at the place, about, I don't like having to ship our students for CDC anywhere else. It's my community members just like all the rest of them. If there's a heartbreaker, that's probably it. I don't know if there's a way around it right now, logistically or space-wise, but I think that's what that was meant, when we kind of mentioned that. But these factors, again, they weren't exclusive to White Oak, that's all over. In any case, I'd submit that we're capable of performance at a far higher rate based on the strength that I see in the teachers. You know, I guess it'd be kind of, that's part of the job, maybe figuring out how to not just think about yourself or what your own classroom would be like, but in general. And I can't say that, I don't know what that's gonna look like to really get good at that, or if there is a getting good at that, or if it's all intuition and half intuition and part data. But if there's a job, you know, that could be the job, kind of getting that aligned and have everybody pulling the same way, at the same clip. But anyway, yeah, clearly 3/4 of the student body, you know, essentially at or below the poverty lines. That's troubling, and maybe that's what it looks like in other places. And if there's an implication there, and again, that's not hard data, so we're going to move on to the hard data, but probably a good chance that parent involvement is unlikely, homework help is more unlikely, you know, maybe access to internet would be more unlikely when you see that, and so those things can impact, but I don't know as far as, you know, measurable, what that looks like. So, data overview, just some general school-wide success rates and trends, comparison, you'll see White Oak in the district, and they're kind of like close to the color. In 2021, for whatever reason, it was kind of low all around. I don't know if that was just an after COVID thing or a bit lower, but we've trended upward pretty consistently, I guess, with a, you know, maybe a bit of a taper here over the past several years. And then some of the success rates, math and ELA here. It's essentially the same thing, but just to kind of look at it, you know, I do like to see that it goes up. Again, it tapers back down a bit there. So school-wide math and ELA proficiency rates have grown substantially since 2021. Math proficiency tallied at 15.9 in 2021, but climbed to 25.7 in 2024. Similarly, ELA proficiency rates have risen from 19.2 in 2021 to 28.6 in 2024. So that's certainly a good thing. Over on the right, 3rd and 5th grade combined proficiency, 46.2 and 42.5. That's impressive. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, if you could get a success rate of 40 or above, and as looking back, I mean, essentially it's been, well, not very many schools. I think Jacksboro's kind of been there for a while, but, you know, it'd be pleasing. And I'm probably still maybe a bit too green to know exactly what the goal is or what's attainable, but trying to figure it out's been, you know, something that's been an absolute priority. And I was gonna be mean and take that 0 off, so it makes the scores look like way like, you know, but I didn't take the time. So yeah, performing well there. So then that tells you, well, where's your 27% come from, and we'll get there in just a bit. But school-wide growth. As somebody who's taught in the classroom for, you know, the past decade, you know, growth is certainly good, and we're definitely looking for growth, and there's a lot of ways to think about growth. If I've been on a mission, it's to try and find out the growth formula, and we've been lucky enough to partner with Elgin, as Charlie mentioned earlier, and that's been great about figuring out the academic formula, and so we might hit on that in just a bit, but I say growth percentiles across grades relative to the district average, they seem stable. These are median growth though, so you know that you could have a student that grew 200% and one that grew 20%. So even when you aggregate this specifically, trying to find the whole picture has been challenging, maybe a bit for me, especially on the whole. In any case, teacher, class, and student data over time, along with other factors such as starting achievement level and comparative peer data accuracy, they all impact growth. And I think when we met the other day with Lori and Chris gave us a little bit more insight. And what was that you said about, like, just the fluctuation when they're trying to establish, I guess, the growth baseline?
So it's growth is, they call it norm reference to get all the students in the state of Tennessee. So if all of the students in the state of Tennessee grow at a similar rate as they would at White Oak, then you know you're exactly where you need to be. Conversely, you know, the rest of the state could sort of fall behind, and you could grow more. So that enhances how your data looks with the growth of the students on how the teachers are doing and the students are performing.
Yeah, but as far as like a formula or something strict, we're kind of just.
It's very difficult.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to predict.
Certainly growth is better than no growth. As far as areas for improvement, you know, you're pretty close to the situation if you've been at a place for a long time, like I have, and so, you know, probably maybe have a grasp on it, so we'll just kind of hit on it and move on, but, middle school math's been a little bit unstable, maybe, and as I look at these, and I think these are really interesting, and approaching expectations just as a teacher, like you know, if you have somebody approaching, that's great, and I'm fine to see some yellow on there approaching. What's troubling and concerning is the red, when you see like a below. And as you start to look at like a 50% of your class or 70% of a class being that far below expectations, that's typically reserved for somebody who might, you know, may have a learning disability or an IEP, and some, like, you know, you'd anticipate that might be more of a struggle, but that's, you know, essentially 70% of a class over some years, and you know, that's tough. That makes it really tough, I guess. Same thing kind of going across the board. Again, the number of students failing to approach expectations trends across years, and it's at an alarming clip. I said there, it seems like the spring 2023 was a little bit of a pickup. Same for social studies. I know that's a smaller portion, but as I'm trying to hone in on what that looks like, you know, just like maybe 4 or 5% academic success, all that kind of can be impactful. So at the beginning, you know, when we started, one of the first things I heard about was improvement plan, and I thought, well, you know, we try to do an improvement plan that is something that's actionable and that we can be intentional about if we can. And so I think that if there's a bright spot here, you know, the targeted area, it still remains relevant. You know, I was kind of, I guess, spot on, although, you know, again, I've been there for a while on that, but it just underpinned that 6th through 8th math is an area for improvement, and being in the building that, you know, that's a struggle. I think we're at 11%, maybe as a total success rate over the past 3 years, you know, as a combination. Strategy's intact, but our district math coach has not been utilized as much as I hope. I mean, I think that anybody here, you know, Amy, she's really strong, and that's just on me. We were able to get together with her and hopefully have her up, and I know she's busy, you know, and then sometimes the best laid plans, I think they're going to be amazing, and then, you know, I may have shifted gears or something else may have happened to do something, but the idea would be to bring her in now. You know, I think we have a couple of guys maybe there who are talking retirement and filling out paperwork, you know, so it's sometimes people are a little bit more pliable, and younger teachers or other colleagues, or, you know, what you're seeing, and then sometimes, you know, you can't teach old dog new tricks. I guess maybe might be safe to say. But building level support from other math teachers, and then having Jessica Crowley, our instructional coach, who, you know, we share. She's fantastic, and so that allows us to go in. We have a couple of new teachers and kind of work there. And then again, the same thing with math. We have some plans and some thoughts about what we might be able to do as we approach TCAP, and we have a lot of resources, and hopefully we can figure out how to utilize them in a way that's not just so we say we're doing something, but so we can kind of, you know, move the needle a little bit, so to speak. Benchmark scores. Benchmark scores have shown improvement. It's really important, I guess, to think about, you know, what the scale score is, and how many students we have projected to be able to I guess, be proficient. And it looks okay right now. You know, we'll continue to track it, and then that last, the final benchmark that's so close to T and ready. You know, you hope you get a good performance on that, and maybe that'll kind of tell the final story of what that'll look like at the end. So, you know, aside from that, that's probably our best sort of metric, I guess, you know, in the meantime, aside from what we can kind of do on our own with, like, you know, TCAP questions and other things that have been mentioned. Anyway, culture-wise, we do feel better about maybe classroom management, you know, in some of these grades that might be struggling a bit. Like what we've seen, a lot less discipline referrals than maybe we would have seen like last year. And I say we would have seen because I'm there. They didn't always refer them to me, but you know, for the most part. So that's good. So we are taking the small victories as we can get them. Goals for improvement. And you're going to hear probably some of the same things reiterated between Charlie and I. We do have Elgin and Bill Jones is around, and we're, you know, you pick up a lot of the same things. But so weekly PLCs, and I say weekly PLCs, we've not PLCs in a while, right? Because we're kind of just back now. But one of the struggles we probably knew it like immediately there's no blueprint for a PLC for a K through 8 school. You know, you have, it's so far apart. You know, not only is it hard to get people in, I mean, some people will share planning, like your third and fourth grader teacher will share planning and all that. So how do you get these people in on the same mission? Even my good teachers, you know, they've been doing this for a while, but the hope is we recognize the place as a, I mean, it's a unit, it's a mechanism that in order for it to be great, and some of these things that we're talking about, an A+, it is really important that the vast majority, if not all of us, are kind of on the same page, and we realize that, like, it's not a sect or a pocket. You know, like, I need kindergarten to think, I know they have to do their own thing, I want kindergarten to think about, you know, 7th grade, and I know that's a gap, but I mean, like, what can we do to help? Or it doesn't have to be something like